Good morning and welcome to the Wallet to Wealth Female Entrepreneur Interview Series. I'm Whitney Hammond and I'm the owner of Sovereign Wealth Management. So just briefly today, I just want to share that in support of Halton Women's Place, From Wallet to Wealth is a brand created to help mentor, educate, and inspire women to living and leading empowered lives. Mark your calendar. November 12th is our evening event. This is our annual event where we raise money. Last year we got together and had dinner. This year we'll be doing it virtually, but we're going to have 5 main stage speakers who will talk about how they found advantage in their adversity. So we'll put the link below so you can see who those speakers are. So these super women are standing up to help women win, and we plan to raise $30,000 in this event, and so far we are halfway there. Thank you, Lisa, because you are actually one of our donors too. So be part of our Female Superwomen group and stand up for Women's Abuse Prevention Month, which is November. All tickets are tax deductible, so 100% of your money goes straight to Halton Women's Place, and a tax receipt is provided to you right away. So next to the most important part of today is Lisa Campbell. She is a certified profit master. Most business owners struggle with money. Lisa helps entrepreneurs profit first. She shows them how to create predictable, sustainable profitability so that they can eliminate debt and have a positive cash flow. Welcome, Lisa.
Thanks for having me, Whitney.
Oh, you're welcome. I'm so excited today because this is so passionate to me because of what I learned as a business owner 35 years ago when I started, and I can tell you from experience that it makes the difference between making it and breaking it. And so I was so interested in meeting you because you do what somebody taught me many years ago. So just to start off, recently we've been talking about intergenerational trauma and messages that we've learned over our life that have created limiting beliefs for us. So did you want to share a little bit about how that was for you?
Sure. I mean, I think I shared with you that I've done a lot of work on this, so it is kind of hard to recall sometimes, but I do remember having almost opposing money beliefs from my parents. My mom was very much, you can do whatever you want in this world, whatever you go for, you can get. My dad was very much, you have to go get a corporate job, you have to do this and get a pension, and you'll never make it if you don't get an education and all that stuff. So it was very conflicting. And I mean, we grew up middle class, I would say, maybe not even quite middle class. There wasn't a lot of money, but it wasn't really a big issue. I just knew that I was going to do whatever I was going to do in this world.
That's awesome. That's really awesome. So that set the stage. And so then the next part is aligning everything. So through the messages that you learned, you were able to align yourself and take advantage of this. So can you explain how you changed your vibe and what that meant for you?
Oh, I changed my vibe through a horrible experience in a marriage. And it's, well, like I just said that I was going to do whatever I was going to do in this world. And I started that off very young. So at the age of 21, I knew I was going to be entrepreneurial. I knew I was always going to work for myself. And I did that. And, got married, had kids, got divorced, met husband number 2, who I thought was very successful. Turns out he wasn't, and very poor with money and stuff like that. So he basically ran us into the poorhouse. And, being in the financial industry, it was almost like a conflict, an inner conflict with me. Like, you're doing this all wrong, and oh no, what's happening? So long story short, throughout that relationship, there was a lot of devaluing of my contributions. He knew best. He was right. He was the patriarch. Everybody needed to listen. He was the one that was successful with the university degree and all that stuff. And I'm like, but you're doing it all wrong. So through all the stuff that I went through, leaving him and, getting myself out of debt and back into, a very positive cash flow situation, I just realized that, everybody needs to understand their value. I totally own my own value now, represent that with my clients. And I'm very, very passionate about making sure that other people understand their value as well.
That's really good. So from that lesson, that taught you a really good lesson because you had it firsthand. So now, because you understand that, you have compassion for other people that have the same situation. And I know that when you said that you thought he was financially okay, and then find out he's not. I mean, this is what happens. Like, people derail us, business derails us, and it's so important to be able to work with a profit coach to be able to keep your eye on the ball. So tell us about the business that you've built.
We'll have three of them. So I built a business. The first one was my bookkeeping firm. I actually went and specialized in profit strategy. And so now it is a profit strategy bookkeeping firm, meaning that we don't just take on clients for compliance. We take them on only if they want profit strategy coaching as well. So it is sort of a high level service that we offer. And from there, I learned how to make that business all about, not just about me, having a team involved to do the actual compliance work itself, so that I could really focus on advising the clients as far as their profitability strategy, how to make them grow, in a way that is predictable. So from there, having systemized all that so that I could bring team in to do a lot of that work, I realize there's a lot of people out there in my industry, bookkeepers and accountants, who are, plodding along day in and day out, just doing transactional work and not being recognized for the value that they can provide to their clients through all their years of experience. We all see the same stuff, right? The numbers tell a story. Yeah. So I started to develop a program where I could teach other bookkeepers and accountants how to do what I've done as far as the scaling is concerned, and making sure that you're working with the ideal client, charging the fees that you should be charging for the value that you provide. And then the third one that I got now is also Profit First Professionals Canada. So after taking bookkeepers and accountants through a series of steps over the course of a year where they can actually scale their business, Profit First Professionals Canada, I'm actually giving them the skills and the tools to advise their clients in profit strategy.
That's so good. So you mentioned the word compliance, and I just wanted to, we understand that, but I just want to help people watching to understand that. So compliance is what your bookkeeper and accountant does to file your taxes. So your bookkeeper would run everything through QuickBooks or whichever program they're using, but they would run all those numbers through, and then those go over to the accountant, and the accountants are very busy, and so their primary concern is compliance, and compliance is filing your tax return. And so the conversations that are missing, and this is what Lisa's talking about, is that there isn't a conversation about profitability. And so the bookkeeper, if the bookkeeper is trained to help the business owner, so for example, I'm in reverse. I had to train my bookkeeper to do my ratios for me, so that every Friday, every day, end of the day of the month, I would receive an email that shows my profitability. And why would we want to look at this? Well, because when we're in business, we are in business to make money. We're in business to be profitable, and making a big, getting a big deal and going out and buying something, because we do see this a lot. If you have a process where you can see your profitability and you start to retain earnings, you're able to start building wealth and making conscious decisions about when you actually want to buy something or when you want to invest back into your business. So with that knowledge coming with what you're doing, Lisa, then by the time everything goes over to the accountant, there's even more high level conversations that can be had. And again, this is about building wealth. And sometimes we see people shy away from making money, and but I only want to serve, and I only wanted this, and that's fine. You can serve, but there has to be an accountability of you can't sell something for $5 when it takes you $7 to make it. And so by having a good system like what you're doing, so hopefully I've explained that really well, because just lastly, what I wanted to share was when I started in my business when I was 20. I incorporated, and I sat down with an accountant and bought 3 hours of his time. And I said, tell me everything you can in 3 hours. And he did. And I'm telling you, I stayed on that track, and I focused on profit, 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 profit. And here I am 35 years later, and I work with a lot of business owners. So this is what you do. And there's not enough of you out there. Like
That's why I'm training more.
everybody needs to be working with bookkeepers that you have or speaking to you, because it's very easy to lose money and it's very easy to make money, and you know how to figure that out, and I know how to figure that out. So
Yeah. Yeah. And, you know, people run into problems, right? You know, people go into business typically, especially, you know, if you're a solopreneur and like you said, they see the buckets of money coming in, maybe they had a big deal or something. And they start to see money coming into their account and they don't think of, you know, 9 months from now, I have to pay my tax bill. 6 months from now, I have to pay my HST. Right. And they like, never mind just the profit. Profit is part of it, but profit pays for everything else. So if you put your profit first and you put your reserves for your taxes and your GST, HST, and what you want to pay yourself as a business owner, and then look at your operating expenses last and really keep it nice and lean, that's how you grow predictably, sustainably, right? Because you can't just take all, you know, think about the industries that we know where they get big deals every once in a while and they go, oh, I've got this $70,000 paycheck. No, you don't. You've got $70,000 in your bank. Not all of that is yours because the tax man is going to come calling. So we have to do the bucket thing and we have to move money aside. And I always tell people every dollar that comes into your business has a job and it's up to you to tell it what that job is.
I love that. And I love the bucket theory because I use that all the time myself with teaching clients. It does really work. Yeah.
Because you can't, like, look at somebody who wants to build wealth. You have to be able to make sure that all your other obligations are taken care of and you've, you know, eliminated the debt systematically so that you can start to build wealth. And I know that firsthand. I'm working with you. I'm finally there now.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that's it. I love, you've got this slogan. It's, what is it? It's, you help people, you teach people to make it, to keep it, and then invest it.
Yes.
And I love that. That's actually what that's the tagline for this show. Make it, keep it, and invest it. So so people that are in business, you can serve your client. I mean, that's what I'm all about. That's what you're all about. I know you work really long hours like I do. We're only here to serve our client, but at the same time, you know, we've got the make it, keep it, and invest it you know, mindset, right? Because you know, sustainability, if you want to help people and be around for 30, 40, 50 years servicing them with your service, your business, you have to have some type of sustainability model. Otherwise it's going out the window. One industry that seems to be a common, because people talk to me about it, is realtors. They say, oh yeah, like I didn't put my HST aside, or I didn't put my income tax aside. And it's like, you're kidding, you didn't do that? How did that happen? But it seems to be a common thing, so they can do very well in their business, but then the numbers all get messed up. And then they're like, oh, I got these fines and I'm trying to pay off my my taxes. And then it's like, well, have you put anything aside for your future? Oh no, not yet. I own a house, or I own 2 houses, but I don't like, which are not liquid. Real estate is fabulous. We all own it. And I always recommend buy it. It's a good thing to own, but you got to have something liquid, because when it comes time to eat, you can't eat a house.
True. Yeah. They don't think of these things. And it's unfortunately, it's an ongoing problem that just gets them deeper and deeper in the hole. You know what they say, right? The fastest way out of a hole is stop digging. So you've got to freeze the debt, stop spending what you can't spend, and all the money that comes into your business, you have to allocate in proportion to, you know, what's coming up. You've got to make sure that you have a predictable way to pay yourself. You've got to make sure that you always have that tax money put aside. Like, for example, I mean, anything that comes into any of my businesses, right off the top line, 13%, even though I have ITCs on my HST, I reserve the full 13% in a separate account. 15% goes for taxes right off the bat. I don't even look at pulling money out until that money is moved aside.
That's good. That's a great discipline. It's fabulous discipline.
Yeah, and it's tricky at first. You know, at first you're thinking, oh, you know, I've got to do all these extra transactions, and then it just becomes systematic. And we set our clients up with spreadsheets where they just plop one number in and it tells them what to move. It's so easy.
Well, yeah, and then what happens is you're actually building and establishing them. You know, make it, keep it, and invest it.
Invest it. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so What's next? What's next on the horizon for you?
Oh, building wealth is what's next now, because I don't know, you and I have talked about this before, but I had to start over at 46. I mean, I was so in debt, lost my house, everything from this nasty divorce that I went through, and it ended up with tons and tons of debt, which by following the system, as far as putting profitability aside, putting, amounts of money aside for profit, making sure that my taxes were paid and all that stuff, I was able to get rid of that debt entirely. And now the money that's coming in has a very different purpose. First, it was set aside for profitability, AKA debt reduction, because that comes first. Always eliminate your debt. Now it is set up and moved aside for building wealth. And that's where I go and lean on an expert like you, because I know how to make the money and I know how to keep the money and tell it where to go, but I do not know how to grow the money. So that's next.
Yeah. And that's actually, that's really fun. That's the part I love about my job, is organizing people.
Yeah,
Organizing people and creating strategies and building their wealth. So that's really good. So I love, absolutely love what you're doing. And for clients, is it all, can you just tell us a little bit about, you're working through bookkeepers, but then there's also business owners that can come to you directly?
Yeah, you can come through. We have an intake process. We work with a certain type of client, but I have so many bookkeepers and accountants that are so highly qualified in my network that I would put somebody on to the right person, whether it's industry or location. Location doesn't really matter these days because everybody's remote, but just an understanding so that we get a good fit, because we really want the bookkeeper that you work with or the accountant that you work with to really fit with you as far as your goals and your objectives, and make sure that you can work together really, really well to make things happen for you, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because if you're not fitting with a bookkeeper, it can be a problem. Profit and loss, that's a term that's thrown around a lot, and maybe people don't understand what profit and loss. It's a P&L statement. So what that is, it's a profit and loss, and I'll share what I know. But what did you want to talk about with P&L?
With the profit and loss? Well, I can tell you that a lot of people look at their profit and loss at the end of the year and they go, "Oh, my accountant says I made, $50,000, but I have no money in my bank account." Yeah, because you didn't take into account the stuff that doesn't show up in your profit and loss, but does affect your cash flow. Things like paying down debt, paying loan payments, the principal portion of a loan, that's not going to show up on your P&L, right? Reducing your accounts payable, reducing your credit card and stuff like that. That's where all the money goes. And so what we do is we try and show people your profit and loss is one thing, but the movement of the money is a whole other ballgame.
Yeah, yeah. So profit and loss is, for me, I look at it at the end of the month. So I look at my ratios, and so I run a tight ship on these ratios that are 40, 35, 25%, 25 goes to retained earnings. And it's important to retain earnings. So with the profit and loss, if my ratios are out for a month, I can say, what in the heck went wrong there? And then I pop open the P&L and it was like, oh yeah, you know what, I forgot, I bought 2 computers, or something. And then you can say, okay, great, you know what, that was a capital cost, we get it, right? But if I bought, I don't know, like a $4,000 purse, which I don't do, but let's say I bought a $4,000 purse, then I can say, hey, you know what, like, that should have come out of my salary.
Yep.
And so that's the discipline about doing these things. So yeah, this is great.
Yeah. And a lot of business owners don't care to look at their P&L. You're one of those business owners that is, you're very in tune with all that stuff, but realistically, a lot of them don't. So what we try and do is make it simple, right? You don't have to study your cash flow statement. You don't have to have all these documents out here. You have your monthly meetings with your client, right? But you set them up on a system that literally, like I said, you plop a number in. And the spreadsheet's going to tell you, it's pre-formatted, tell you what to do. You don't have to think about these things because you've already predetermined what percentage of every dollar is going for what purpose.
This is fabulous. And so can it be anybody at any level, or do you have a certain level of clients what level you'll start with? Or for example, could a realtor person come to you and say, hey, I need some help here?
Yep. So myself, no, not personally. My firm, we work with clients that are usually in the revenue range of between 1 and 5 million. But like I say, we've got a whole network of qualified profit first professionals who are, first of all, they in themselves have to qualify to even train in that. So they are experienced, they are at a certain revenue level, they get it, they understand the pains, right? But then, we do have lots of people that work specifically with startups to make sure that you start on the right track. So you're not running into the problem of having to get rid of the debt first, because that's a game changer right there. If you have to focus on getting rid of your debt first and then move into, now how do I start creating money buckets to make sure that I can invest down the road, that's you're starting off on a whole other sort of in the negative, right? So people that will start up with or train startup businesses have them, going from the right percentages right from the very get-go, which is great. Then we have people that are industry specific. So I can hook you up with whoever you need. It doesn't matter. We've got a full range of people that can help you. And again, we're all out there to serve as well. Yes, we have a higher skill. Yes, we do charge for it, because what we provide to the client is far more than what a standard bookkeeper would do. But there's all sorts of us that can help at any level.
Yes. Yes. And just for me to jump in, just to, with my bookkeeper that I have, she charges an hourly rate, but the workload that I give to her, because I have, obviously I'm the CFO of the company. So my mentality, what I need from her is exactly what you're doing. So what I'm asking for is much more than just a standard bookkeeper. But that I'll tell you, it's night and day. It's night for all business owners, whoever's watching. Check in with Lisa, and she'll hook you up with the right person, or she'll take you in, or talk to me, and I'll get you connected. But don't run a business without having somebody who can really be your CFO, because that's what makes the difference. That's what keeps you in business. And if you want to stay in business, then this is what we do.
Yeah. And you'd be surprised well, you would know probably yourself, but how many business owners don't even want to pay for a bookkeeper? Like, how do you plan on running a business? Yeah, you think you can do it. I'm sure you can do some little entries and stuff like that, but there's a lot more to it. But I would strongly encourage anyone who's watching, listening, find a bookkeeper who is specifically trained to help you with your cash flow. Because if you're just, it's just a line item expense and you're just paying for it because you have to file your taxes, what are you really getting from that? You want to partner with somebody who's going to help you get out of the debt and build up reserves and make sure that you get paid consistently and make sure that your taxes get paid night and day.
I love it. Yeah. Okay. Well, thank you so much for being here today. And we'll talk to you again. But I think that last line that you just gave, that was fabulous.
Thanks. It was great talking to you, Whitney.
Okay. Well, I'll see you soon.
Okay.
Okay.
Have an awesome day. Bye.
Okay. You too. Bye-bye.